Hi, kindergarten. Well, we made it. This is the last week of kindergarten. It's the last week of school before we graduate on Friday. All this week, I will be reading the story Junie B. Jones is a graduation girl to you to celebrate that we're graduating too. All right, so before I start reading, find a cozy spot, get comfortable, because I'm going to read 2 chapters to you today. All right, Chapter 1, The Month of Junie. My name is Junie B. Jones. The B stands for Beatrice, except I don't like Beatrice. I just like B, and that's all. I was named after the month of Junie, because Junie is the month I was born in, of course. And wait till you hear this. Yesterday, I finally had my birthday, and now I'm 6 years old. Kind of like you guys. So, and that day was like magic, I tell you. And there happens to be a picture. Now, there's not a whole lot of pictures in this chapter book, but if there's a picture, I'll be sure to show you. Because on Saturday night, when I went to bed, I was only 5 years old. And the next morning, boom, I was 6. My grandma, Helen Miller, had a happy birthday party for me. She invited my mother and daddy and my grandpa Frank Miller. Also, she invited my baby brother named Ollie. He is 7 months old. He did not add that much. I love my party a lot. First, I love my chocolatey cake with white icing. Next, I love my strawberry ice cream. Plus, also, I loved my balloons and my funny birthday hats and all my happy birthday cards. But mostly, I loved my presents. I got an entire box, and I got 5 entire boxes to open. And good news, none of them were clothes. Mostly, I got toys and games. Also, I got a tool belt just my size. Plus, my Grandpa Miller gave me my very own plumbing supplies to help fix the toilet. Would you want to fix the toilet? But that is not even the end of my excitement, because that night when my mother tucked me into bed, she reminded me that I'm graduating from kindergarten on Friday. So are we. We're graduating kindergarten on Friday too. My stomach felt jumpy inside when she said that. I quick counted on my fingers. But Friday is only 5 more days, I said. I did a gulp. That event sneaked right up on us, didn't it? I said, kind of nervous. Mother hugged me. You're not worried, are you, Junie B? She asked. Graduation will be fun, I promise. You're going to love first grade. But Polly Allen Puffer says that next year everything will be different, I said. He says that first grade won't have the same kids as room 9 does. And so all of our classmates will be strangers. Mother did a frown. No, that's not true, she said. I'm sure you'll know a lot of children in your class next year, Junie B. But even if your best friends aren't in your room, you will still be able to play with them at recess, right? I nodded my head kind of slow. Yes, I guess so, I said. Plus, Polly Allen Puffer says that we will be the boss of the kindergarten kids. So that will be fun, probably. And also he says our brains and our feet will double in size. Mother stared at me really long. That Polly Allen Puffer is a fountain of knowledge, she said very quiet. After that, we talked some more about graduation and first grade. Here's Junie B and her mom. Now remember, when you're in first grade, we don't want to be the boss of somebody. That's not very nice. We're only in charge of ourselves. We want to be a good example for our new kindergartners. And guess what? The next day at school, my teacher talked about it even more. Her name is Mrs. She has another name too, but I just like Mrs., and that's all. Mrs. clapped her hands really happy. Well, this is it, boys and girls, she said. Graduation week is finally here. Graduation week is finally here. At 7 o'clock on Friday evening, room 8 and room 9 will have our graduation ceremony together. And of course, the children in the morning kindergarten will be graduating too. So every single one of you will receive a diploma. I sprung out of my chair very thrilled. A diploma! A diploma! I will love a diploma, I shouted. Just then I did a teensy frown. It's not clothes, right? I asked. A meanie boy named Jim laughed really loud. Ha! You goony bird Jones! You don't even know what a diploma is, he said. I stamped my foot at that boy. Oh, yes, I do too, Jim, I said. I know perfectly well what it is. But I'm not even the teacher here, and so I will let her explain it to the class. I sat down and smoothed my skirt. Then I pointed to Mrs. Okay, go, I said. Mrs. wrinkled her eyebrows at me. As I was about to say, a diploma is a very special piece of paper. A diploma is a certificate that says you've completed part of your education. As you go through school, you'll get several diplomas, she said. But this one will be your first. You'll get a diploma too. I sprung up again. And guess what else, Mrs.? I'm not even afraid of the first grade anymore, because I'll be getting big feet and brains. Mrs. said, sit down, to me. Then she told us more about graduation. She said that as a treat for our families, we will be making them special graduation invitations. And so that will be our activity for the day. Yippee! I said. I love making invitations, Mrs. On account of that does not even sound like learning. After that I clapped, and all of room 9 clapped with me, because graduation week was starting off like a charm. Chapter 2, Rhymes. I sat at my table very nice. Mrs. passed out colored paper for our invitations. Also she passed out curly ribbon and lace, and paste, and bottles of sparkly glitter. Just as a reminder, she said, we do not paste glitter in our eyebrows, and we do not put lace up our noses. And above all, we do not glue curly ribbon to our heads and pretend it's long hair. Ooh, that's not a good idea. She looked and looked at me. I squirmed in my seat a little bit, 'cause that woman has a memory like a hawk, I tell you. Finally, Mrs. went to the board, and she picked up her chalk. On the inside of our cards, we are going to write a poem about graduation. Does anyone have any ideas for the first line? My friend named Grace waved her hand all around in the air. Oh, roses are red, roses are red, she called out. Yes, hollered room 9, roses are red. Mrs. smiled. She wrote it on the board. Okay, now what about the second line, she asked. Room 9 hollered again. Violets are blue, violets are blue, violets are blue. Mrs. wrote that line too. Very good, class, she said. Now who can think of the third line? Maybe we should try mentioning something about graduation in this one. Does anyone have any ideas? A shy boy named William stood up next to his table. Graduation is here? He said, kind of nervous. Mrs. grinned really big. Excellent job, William, excellent. She printed it on the board. All right, there's just one more line to go, she said. Let's try to make the last word rhyme with blue, okay? Can you think of some words that rhyme with blue? She read the first 3 lines out loud to us. Roses are red, violets are blue, graduation is here. Room 9 thought and thought. Then all of a sudden, rhymes started coming out from all over the place. My dress will be new. New blue, that rhymes, said Lucille. My dad's name is Lou. Lou blue, it rhymes, said Jamal Hall. We made it, woohoo, called Lynn. Just then, Polly Allen Puffer sprung right out of his chair and he started laughing his head off. The zoo is P.U., he shouted the loudest. Uh-oh. Then all of room 9 laughed our heads off too, 'cause PU is the silliest rhyme we've ever heard. Mrs. clapped her mad hands together. Boys and girls, that's enough, she grouched. She hurried to Polly Allen Puffer's table, and she put him back in his seat. I do not appreciate that kind of behavior, young man, Mrs. said. We're trying to write a nice class poem here, Polly Allen, and your rhyme was entirely inappropriate. After that, I tried to stop giggling, but that silly poem kept on staying inside my head. And then out of nowhere, another funny poem popped right into my brain, and I couldn't even hold it inside me. Uh-oh. Junie B needs to practice, I'm guessing, self-control, right? We have something funny maybe in our head, and we want to laugh, and we know what your teacher just said is not a good time, it's inappropriate. Uh-oh. I quick jumped on my chair. Roses are red, violets are blue, graduation is here, and your feet smell like stink, I shouted. Uh-oh. After that, room 9 could not even control themselves, 'cause that poem was the funniest thing they've ever heard. My teacher's eyes got big and wide at me. Junie B, didn't you hear a word I just said? She said, very annoyed. Then she hurried to my table and she took me into the hallway. And she pointed for me to go straight to the office. And that's where we're going to stop. We're going to read chapter 3 next time. Oh, Junie is now being sent to the office. So tomorrow we'll find out what happens next in our story. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.